And take the inhalations and exhalations from this Swadhisthana chakra, just about 2 inches below your navel. As you inhale, allow that breath to rise from your Swadhisthana chakra below the navel. Allow it to rise slowly upwards. So the breath on the inhalation, it's rising gently up through the energetic body until it gets to your third eye center, the Agya chakra, just between your eyebrows. And then we exhale and let it go. If you find that you can't carry the breath all the way up to the third eye on one unbroken, smooth inhalation, don't worry about it. Just allow that breath to rise as high as it will go, smoothly and naturally. And then let it drop back on the exhalation, back down to the Swadhisthana chakra. So we're rising higher and higher with the breath on each inhalation. And you're sinking deeper and deeper back down into the core of yourself on each exhalation. Even if the breath isn't reaching to your third eye, keep that intention there on the third eye. So the energy of the mind's eye is there on your third eye center. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level. And rub the palms of your hands against each other gently. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome to Satsang. Sandeep भैया, संदीप भैया, आप बाहर ही रहो, किसी और को माइक का काम दे दो. Starting as always with a question that came in advance, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. What does it mean to trust God? Trust God to do what? It's a great question. So, when we talk about trusting God, संदीप भैया वहीं ही रहो, किसी और को ये काम सौंप दो, है ना? ठीक. It means that we recognize that there is a wisdom, an intelligence, a plan in the universe that is unfolding. Like a flower opens its petals to the sun, like a tree grows not only up, but sometimes they grow sideways when they need to grow sideways. If you walk through a forest, you'll see, even though most of the trees are growing up, every once in a while you'll see a tree growing sideways. Because she knows in some incredible way that her light, the light that she needs to do the photosynthesis, that she's not going to be able to do it if she grows straight up. That there's too many other trees, or there's not enough light, or whatever the situation may be. So she grows sideways, knowing I need to grow this way in order to get my light and live. Knowing that the way that a seed sprouts and becomes a tree and gives fruit, it doesn't have to think about it. The tree doesn't have to worry, oh my God, am I sure I'm an apple tree? Like I'm just about to start giving apples, but what if I'm meant to be an orange tree instead? It never happens. There's this wisdom, this intelligence, this flow of the universe. When we talk about trusting God, that's what it means. It doesn't mean you've got a math exam coming up. Don't worry, you can go to parties and hang out and play video games and scroll Facebook and just trust God. No problem, you'll get an A on the exam. Not that. It's not trust God, therefore don't worry about working sincerely. Don't worry about buying insurance. Don't eat healthy food or take care of yourself. It's not that. The Bhagavad Gita makes all of that very, very clear to us. This beautiful balance between trusting God and standing up and doing your duty. So trusting God doesn't mean we don't do what we need to do. We do it. But we do it with trust in God. That what we are meant to do will become apparent to us. And that we will have the tools and the abilities to do it. That if something is meant to be our work, we'll be able to do it. That God's going to give us whatever tools we need to be able to fulfill our dharma, our duty. And trust in God also means that, you think about going back to the garden analogy. So I can plant a seed. And I can plant it in the right place. And I can water it and I can shine sun on it. But I don't actually have any ability to turn that seed into a tree. That's got to be God. No ability I have. If that seed does not sprout into a tree, there is nothing I can do. I can keep giving it water. I can keep making sure it's got sun. But I don't actually have the ability to take a seed and make a tree out of it. Only the divine universe has that. We don't even have the ability, for example, to digest your own meal. Let's say that your digestion system just stopped working. You eat a meal, and it's just sitting there. Nothing happens to it. Short of going to doctors who, having studied the science of digestion, might be able to give us something to catalyze it, to jumpstart it, but even they can't actually make it happen if the system's not working. Nobody can actually take the food in your stomach and turn it into energy to run your body without that divine intelligence, without the intelligence that the body system has, that's been given by the divine. Nothing we could do if it shut down. How does it work? Science can describe it, but it can't make it happen. We can't even wake ourselves up in the morning. We go to sleep at night. Something in us, some power in us wakes us up. Some capital P plan, system, knowledge, wisdom of this incredible body digests its food, wakes me up when I'm sleeping. So when we talk about trusting God, it's that kind of stuff. It's not, don't do your work, but expect that you're going to get a promotion. Don't study, expect you're going to get an A. Cheat on your taxes, but expect that everything's going to be fine. It's not that. When I first came to India, there was a driver who I had to go with frequently. And he was this young kid with a fast car. And in those days, the cars didn't have seatbelts, or seatbelts never worked. You could never actually find them. Nobody wore them. It was before they even put in a law for seatbelts. So I used to say to him, slow down. And he'd say, have faith in God. 18-year-old kid, have faith in God. And I would say, I've got faith in God, and God has told me to tell you to slow down. Or I'd say, have you gotten your seatbelts fixed yet? And he'd say, have faith in God. And I'd say, I've got faith in God. And he's told me to make sure that you get those seatbelts fixed. It's a light-hearted way of looking at, this is actually the message that God gives us in the Bhagavad Gita. Is, yes, I'm here, flowing through you as wisdom, as light, as clarity, as intuition, as dharma. It's not that because you have faith in me, you leave your common sense at the door, or you leave your intelligence at the door. Remember me. This is the beautiful teaching Bhagwan Krishna gives. Remember me and fight the war. Remember me and fight your war. Now, it's a teaching given to Arjuna, who was a warrior in the middle of a war for Dharma. Whatever our duty may be, that's the teaching. Remember God and do your duty sincerely to the very best of your ability. So we trust God not to somehow smooth out everything in our life, to take away challenges, to do our work for us. But we trust God to give us wisdom, to give us strength. We were singing a beautiful song in the Aarti, Itni Shakti Hame Dena Data. Just please God, give me the Shakti. Give me the power, give me the inner strength that no matter what happens in life, I can stay grounded, I can stay anchored, I can stay happy. That I can ask not what for me, but what through me. That I can be this instrument in your hands, bringing joy to others, helping the flowers blossom. Just give me that strength. So that's the trust in God that we have. Remember God. Trust God, trust the universe, and do your duty. A lot of us hold back from really living up to our full potential, our full divine potential, because we're afraid, oh my God, what'll happen if I embarrass myself, or I fail, or people laugh at me, or I'm humiliated? I'll become a fool. That's the trust in God. Not that you won't be embarrassed. You may be embarrassed. Not that you won't fail. You may fail. But that God will always be there with you. Meaning you will always have that inner strength, inner grounding, inner anchoring. That whatever it is that's happening around you, you won't go up and down with it. So that's the trust. Trust God the same way that a flower opens her petals or that tree grows and blossoms. Beautiful. Other questions? Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, can you speak a little louder? Mic चाहिए उनका.
Pranam. What happens when the pineal gland is activated and how to...
I'm sorry, what happens when?
What happens when the pineal gland activated?
The pineal, okay. So there's a gland called the pineal gland, which literally sits biologically in the brain behind what we talk about as our third eye. But we don't speak so much about the gland being activated. We speak about the energy center being activated. Now, what we know is that the physical body, the energetic body, they're connected. It shouldn't surprise any of us that there is a gland that is deeply connected to aspects of spiritual experience, that physically sits just behind what we talk about as our third eye. That shouldn't surprise us. Any more than it should surprise us that the energetic meridians of the body, as per Chinese medicine, line up with our nadis, the energy channels as per Ayurveda or as per the science of yoga. Why would that surprise us? It's the most natural thing in the world. Of course, the wisdom traditions of the world are going to have teachings that are in alignment. And whether we speak about it biologically, energetically, as a system of chakras or as a system of glands in different places, we're talking about one system that has energy and it has matter, but they happen together. So we speak about our third eye awakening and opening, this Agya chakra, as in the meditation that I led in the beginning. Well, when it opens, you can actually see. These two physical eyes see form, size, shape, color, movement. If you study the neurology of the eye, the things that the eye literally responds to, color, movement, shape, size, patterns, which means that it can only see something that can actually be perceived physically by these eyes, and which is separate from me. Try to read a book like this. You can't. Depending on how old we are, we have to start holding things a little bit farther and farther away, right? They say you know you need glasses when your arms are too short. But even before we need glasses, you still can't read something that's here. If you took a newspaper and you taped it to your eyeballs, you wouldn't be able to read it, no matter how good your vision is. It has to be at a distance, and only then can we see it with these eyes. Meaning, they only function in separation. That which is separate from me, a book, a menu, a newspaper, another human body that I see as an object, I'm very good at seeing it. I can see size, I can see shape, I can see color, I can see pattern, I can see movement. The dilemma is, that's actually what we call illusion. When we pray, asatoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, oh God, lead us from falsehood to truth, from darkness to light. That is exactly what we're talking about. The darkness of ignorance to the light of wisdom. Well, these two eyes see what we call illusion, meaning that which is separate, that which is temporary. Whatever it is, everything in form is temporary. From this flower, to this shawl, to that camera, to this physical body, to that physical body, it's all temporary. It was created. It will be sustained for a short period of time, and then it will dissolve. So, from the spiritual standpoint, that is what we call illusion. Because it isn't eternal truth. Eternal truth is oneness. Spirit, soul, divinity. That which is not changing, that which is not born and then destroyed. Only this eye can see that. This is what we call the divine eye. The Agya Chakra is the energy center of the power of discrimination that enables us to see truth from falsehood. Truth, oneness, spirit, soul, divinity. Falsehood, form, separation. These eyes see you as an object. A man or a woman, tall or short, fat or thin, handsome, ugly. In all of the ways that we distinguish. This eye sees self. Sees my capital S self in you over there. Sees no distinction. I don't need to hold you at a distance to see you with this eye. I see you as self. Because I see the divine in all. That's what this eye does. And so that's why we work to open the third eye, to enable us to see the truth. Beautiful. Other questions? Any other questions? Yes.
Okay. Devotion.
Just one sec, he's giving you.
Devotion. Okay. Been reading about devotion, and to me, I already know that I am God or part of God. You know that we all one. So in a sense, I don't understand devotion, because devotion to me is like there's something about slavery in that has been used, and it's been also manipulations been done.
Great.
With the, you know.
Mm-hmm. Great question. So if we know we're all one, if we know we are one with God, why devotion? Isn't devotion slavery? Why would I be devoted to God if I'm one with God? Okay. So there's two schools. There's many, but for the sake of this, we'll divide them in two. What you would call the non-dualists and the dualists, or the bhakti tradition. The non-dualists, the tradition of Advaita Vedanta, is a system that says there is nothing but God. One of the great myths of Hinduism is that it's a polytheistic religion, that we believe in many gods. Not true. But then people say, oh, it must be a monotheistic religion, believing in one God. But it actually isn't even that. It's a religion in which we believe there is nothing but God. So it's not one God that is somehow separate from me, sitting somewhere, but actually nothing but God. That is what we call eternal truth, that capital T truth. There is nothing but God. The mantras we chant, Aham Brahmasmi, Soham, these mool mantras, foundational mantras, are rooted in I am that. I am one with God. I am God. Tattvam asi. So am I. I am one. And then we have the bhakti tradition of devotion. It's not that the bhakts don't know that they're one with God. It's that being in love feels really beautiful. Being in love is perhaps the most beautiful thing in the world. And of course, being in love doesn't necessarily mean romance. It doesn't necessarily mean sex. Parents are in love with their newborns. Talk to any parent. Oh my God, I am in love. It's the first thing any parent says, I am in love. Being in love is exquisite. But it's very difficult to be in love with yourself on that level. It's very difficult to close your eyes and meditate and have an ecstatic experience of loving the self. It's possible, but it's difficult. It's very difficult to have an ecstatic experience of loving an intangible, supreme, all-pervasive energy in the universe. Possible, but difficult. Much easier to have a concept of God with a name and a form or without a name and a form, depending on your tradition, to whom you can pray, to whom you can devote yourself. It's not slavery. It's being in love. It's ecstasy. It would be slavery if I sat over here and said, you know that God you're in love with? That's me. Now do what I say. And you say, okay. That could be construed as slavery. But me being in love with God, that's ecstasy. To mistake my love for God as love for a non-awakened, God-realized human being who takes advantage of me could certainly become slavery. But devotion itself to God is one of the fastest and most powerful paths to awakening. There's a beautiful line that we chant in the kirtan that Pujya Swamiji leads us in that says, Sabse unchi prem sagai. And it means the highest form of love is love for God. Now, going back to the bhakts, the devotees for a moment, it's not that they don't know they're one with God. The greatest, perhaps, devotee who lived, Mirabai, literally merged into Bhagwan Krishna in the temple in such a way that she disappeared. Shoes, handbag, left behind, she's gone. Quite literally, historical fact. Woman lived. Woman walked into the temple, closed the door, woman disappeared into Krishna. So, even in the lives of the devotees, ultimately there's oneness, even on the most basic physical level. She literally merged into Krishna. And she's worshipped as the epitome of devotion. I think about it as what we would call a willing suspension of disbelief. Meaning, or a willing suspension actually of what we know. Awakened beings, God-realized beings, enlightened beings of the devotee tradition, of the bhakti tradition, they know they're one with God. They know they're not separate from Krishna. They're not singing to Krishna as though Krishna were a separate entity and they are so separate because they think that they're separate. On the deepest level, they know they're one with Krishna. And loving Krishna is so exquisite. Singing to God is so exquisite. Yearning for God, even when you know you are one, is such a beautiful experience that we willingly suspend that which we know in order to again and again and again and again have that experience of two becoming one. Because as you pray, as you sing kirtan, as you do puja for the beloved, there's this experience of two becoming one. Two becoming one. I sit down to chant as separate. I chant, I chant, I chant. We become one. Excuse me. We become one. Ecstasy again. Why would I the next day say, I don't need to chant, I know I'm one with God? Why would I give up that ecstatic experience for which all I have to do is temporarily, willingly pretend that I don't know I'm already one with God? So we willingly pretend we don't know we're one with God. Because to be in love is the greatest feeling in the world. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful day, morning, afternoon to our family joining us online from all over the world. And so much love to you all. I look so forward to being with you all again tomorrow.